She married a poor mountain stranger to save her dying family. But when he took her deep into the frozen mountains, the truth waiting there shattered everything she believed. What Rebecca discovered behind the doors of Winter House changed her life forever. Watch the full video till the end and follow our page for more unforgettable stories. Rebecca Stone stood barefoot on the creaking wooden porch, her thin shawl wrapped tightly around her shoulders. The cold Colorado wind whispered through the pine trees and tugged at her long brown hair. She was only 22, but her hazel eyes already carried the heavy sadness of someone much older. Below the porch, the small garden was dying. The soil was poor, and there had been no money for seeds this year. Inside the tiny house, her father coughed loudly again. The sound tore at Rebecca's heart. Once a strong gold miner, Mr. Stone had returned from the mountains years ago with nothing but ruined lungs and a mountain of debt. Now he lay thin and pale on the old bed, his breathing shallow. Little Tommy, 8 years old, and Lily, 6, sat quietly in the corner, their eyes big with hunger. Their clothes were patched so many times they looked like quilts. The latest letter from the bank lay on the table, like a death sentence. "We will take the house and land in 30 days, it said. Rebecca's hands shook as she read it. Tears burned her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away. She could not let her father or the children see her cry. That night, her father called her close. His weak hand held hers. "Becky, my brave girl," he whispered, voice cracking. "I have failed you. After all my years digging for gold, I brought only sickness and shame. There is only one way to save your brother and sister. You must marry a man who has money, someone who can pay our debts and give this family a future." Rebecca felt her heart shatter into 1,000 pieces. She turned her face to the dark window so he would not see the pain. All her life she had dreamed of real love, a kind man who would hold her after a hard day, laugh with her under the stars, and build a small, happy home together. Now that gentle dream was being crushed. Her shoulders trembled. But when she looked at little Lily sleeping on the floor, she swallowed her tears. "I will do it, Papa," she said in a small, broken voice. "For all of you." 3 days later, the sound of horse hooves broke the silence. A tall, broad-shouldered man rode up. His clothes were simple, dusty brown coat, worn boots, and an old hat pulled low. His face was hard from mountain life, but his dark eyes were steady and honest. He introduced himself as Caleb Walker. "I heard about your troubles," he said in a deep, calm voice. "If Rebecca will marry me, I will pay every single debt. I will make sure your family never goes hungry again. But the choice is only hers. I will not force any woman." Rebecca's heart raced. Who was this stranger? Why would he offer so much? In town, people whispered dark stories. Maybe he was dangerous. Maybe he was hiding a criminal past. Yet when the bankmen came the next day, shouting and threatening to throw them out, Rebecca knew she had no other path. With tears streaming down her face and a storm in her chest, she stood before Caleb. "I accept," she whispered. Her voice shook. Inside, she felt like she was saying goodbye to her own soul. The wedding was small and quiet. The very next morning, they began the long, dangerous journey deeper into the mountains. Snow fell lightly on the high passes. The wind howled like a wild animal. Rebecca rode beside Caleb, her body freezing, her heart full of fear and loneliness. At night, they camped under the stars. Caleb built the fire carefully and gave her the warmest blanket. "You are very brave," he said one evening, watching her stare into the flames. "Most women would have cried the whole way." "I am crying inside," Rebecca answered honestly, her voice soft. "But tears won't feed my family." Caleb looked at her for a long moment, something warm flickering in his eyes. On the third evening, they reached a hidden green valley surrounded by towering peaks. Rebecca gasped. Before her stood Winter House, a grand wooden mansion with tall glass windows glowing with golden light, wide porches, stables full of fine horses, and rows of workers' cottages. Smoke rose peacefully from many chimneys. This is your home?" she asked, stunned. Caleb took her cold hands in his warm ones. Inside the beautiful house, with servants bowing respectfully, he finally told the truth.
My real name is Caleb Winters. I own the largest timber company in Colorado. Forests, sawmills, thousands of acres, all mine. I pretended to be a poor man because the rich ladies in the cities only wanted my money and my name. They never saw me as a real person. But I watched you for many months, Rebecca. I saw how you worked from sunrise to sunset for your family. You never complained. You never broke. You have a pure heart and real honor. That is why I chose you." Rebecca felt the floor disappear beneath her feet. Pain, anger, and shock crashed over her like an icy wave. She pulled her hands away. "You lied to me!" she cried, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I thought you were like me, struggling and simple. I gave up my dreams and married a stranger, and now I find out it was all a game? How could you be so cruel?" Her voice broke. She ran to the big window and stared at the snowy mountains, her body shaking with sobs. Caleb stood behind her, his face full of regret. "If you want to leave tomorrow, I will take you back," he said quietly. "I will still pay every debt. I don't want a wife who feels trapped. I want a true partner." Rebecca cried through the night. The pain was deep, the feeling of being tricked, of losing control of her own life. But when morning light touched the mountains, she remembered her little brother and sister. She remembered Caleb's honest eyes and the gentle way he had cared for her on the dangerous journey. She found him waiting in the hall. "I don't want your money," she said, lifting her chin. "I want an honest man who will never lie to me again. Now that I know the truth, I will stay, and I will try to build a real life with you." A small, hopeful smile touched Caleb's lips. He nodded. "Then let us begin again, Rebecca." Life in Winter House was strange at first. Rebecca felt small among the fine furniture, crystal glasses, and many servants. But she refused to sit like a doll. She put on her old simple dress and walked to the workers' cottages. She saw children with no shoes, mothers exhausted from long hours, and houses with leaking roofs. Her heart burned with anger and pity. That evening, she spoke to Caleb with fire in her eyes. "These people make you rich by cutting your trees. They deserve warm homes, a school for their children, and medicine when they are sick. If you truly care for me, you will care for them too." Caleb listened carefully. Slowly, changes began. New wooden houses were built. A small school opened its doors. Rebecca herself taught the children reading and writing some days,
her laughter mixing with theirs. For the first time in years, she felt truly useful and alive. Then came the storm. Caleb's aunt, Catherine Winters, arrived in a fancy carriage. She was tall, elegant, and cold as winter wind. Her eyes looked at Rebecca like she was dirt on her expensive shoe. "A poor mountain girl as the mistress of Winter House?" Catherine laughed sharply. "You will never belong here, my dear. Caleb needs a wife from a powerful family who can help the business, not a simple village girl." Catherine decided to destroy Rebecca. She invited her to a grand reception in Denver for the governor and all the most important people in Colorado. "Let us see how long you last among real ladies," she said with a cruel smile. In Denver, Rebecca felt lost. The hotel ballroom sparkled with crystal chandeliers and silk gowns. Women wore diamonds that could feed her village for years. People stared at her simple green dress and whispered. Rebecca's hands trembled, but she remembered the mountains and her family. When rich businessmen laughed about cutting down entire forests for bigger profits, she could not stay silent. She stood up, voice shaking at first, but growing stronger. "Money is important, yes. But if we destroy the mountains, the rivers, and the homes of the people who work for us, what future will we leave for our children? Trees are not just wood. They are life. The families who cut them also deserve life and respect." The entire room fell quiet. Even the governor looked at her with surprise and respect. Rebecca's honest words touched many hearts that night.
Catherine tried one final vicious attack. She brought a judge with old legal papers claiming the marriage could be cancelled. Late at night, Rebecca sat with the documents, her eyes tired but determined. Then she found the special condition. If this marriage brings good to the people and the land of Colorado, it shall stand strong. The next morning, at the governor's meeting, Rebecca stood tall beside Caleb. The governor smiled warmly. "Rebecca Winters has shown true wisdom and heart. I name her official advisor for the mountain communities." Catherine's face turned white with shock. Her plan had completely failed. Back at Winter House, Caleb pulled Rebecca into his strong arms. "You are the bravest, kindest, most beautiful woman I have ever known," he whispered, his voice thick with love and pride. "I am the luckiest man alive." Together, Caleb and Rebecca changed Winter Ridge forever. They cut trees wisely and planted new ones. They built better homes, a school, and a small hospital. Workers smiled when Rebecca walked among them. Children ran to her with wildflowers. Winter House became more than a rich man's mansion. It became a home filled with warmth, laughter, respect, and real love. Many years later, Rebecca stood on the wide porch, holding her baby son in her arms. The mountains glowed in the golden sunset. Caleb came behind her and wrapped his arms around both of them. She remembered the frightened, heartbroken girl who had once left her poor home with a stranger. That long, difficult journey had not taken her freedom. It had given her strength, purpose, and the deepest love she had ever known. "Thank you for choosing me," she whispered to Caleb, tears of happiness in her eyes. He kissed her forehead gently. "Thank you for staying, and for teaching me what real love means."
And in that peaceful valley, surrounded by snow-capped peaks and tall green forests, their hearts beat as one. Two souls who had found each other through pain, lies, courage, and finally, everlasting love. Thank you so much for watching this story all the way till the end. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. It really helps us a lot. If you want to watch more exciting stories like this, don't forget to subscribe our page right now. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what time is right now? And if this story touched your heart, please send some stars. Every single star gives us huge motivation to keep creating more amazing videos for you. See you in the next story. Take care of you, friends.